What's going on, everyone? So, Summer League is officially over, and now the Lakers not only will look to kind of upgrade the roster, but also the two-way spots, right? As of right now, they have Trey Jamison on a two-way, which personally, I think they are going to get him off of a two-way. I don't see him sticking around on a two-way. He just didn't look great in Summer League. I was kind of disappointed in him. Don't expect him to be like anything significant, but it's just, I wanted to see a little more from him as far as the impact and what he could have brought. Christian Koloko started off a little rocky, but you started to see, okay, he's an NBA player. So Koloko, I think they will end up keeping restricted at the moment. I think they'll keep him on a two-way, which would open up two roster spots as far as two-way contracts go. I believe, this is just my thoughts, could be wrong. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. But I believe that outside of Christian Koloko, right, the other two spots will be Eric Dixon. I know he was originally going to sign that two-way deal. However, he ended up getting hurt, which was really surprising, right? Because that came out of left field. We didn't even find out about it until somebody saw him in a walking boot. I don't know if they were trying to keep that hush-hush or keep it low-key, but he hasn't signed that two-way deal yet because of the injury. But I imagine if he is healthy and he is right, getting into training camp and into the season, it's not something where he's going to miss all year, then I think that he will be part of the two-way, right? I think that they will bring him and he will sign that two-way deal because I don't think the Lakers are going to want to lose him. He was one of the most NBA-ready players in the draft, arguably the most NBA-ready player in the draft. He led all of college basketball in points scored and just, percentages, and the guy was just really good offensively in college, right? He led the NCAA in scoring. And so to me, look at hey, he's a guy that come off the bench, kind of like a poor man's Julius Randle, right? A guy that kind of fill in a role on a two-way deal. Rui gets the night off and he can kind of slot into the forward spots. He's a guy that I look at kind of more as that 4 or 5, right? He's a guy that I think in a small ball 5 role would be beautiful. Right, because his ability to stretch the floor is 40% 3 in college, right? A guy that can rebound and just kind of give you some interior toughness and stuff, right? But also the 4 ability to kind of stretch the floor, kind of operate in that role. Again, he's kind of like that poor man Julius Randle. Can be a 3-level scorer, get to the basket, finish through contact, right? Big, strong, physical, got good size, good strength, right? Got some decent athleticism. He's not like this hyper athlete or anything like that, but he's got some athleticism for a guy his size. Right? He can move a little bit, like what I see from him. So I think that he will end up getting that two-way. And then I think that they'll bring in Kaluma. I think Arthur Kaluma will end up being the third guy that they have on that two-way deals. And a couple reasons. One, he's the exact type of player that the Lakers need. He's the exact type of player that the Lakers are looking to add and bring on around Luka and potentially a DeAndre Ayton and stuff like that. That 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", 7, I think he has like a 7'2" wingspan, right? Like just long, lengthy, athletic, versatile 3-and-D wing that can slot in 2 or 3 through 5 for you, right? A guy that could slot in, defend the 3 spot, defend out in guards. Like you saw him, and we saw Kaluma defending point guards and switching on to centers, right? The guy gave you that array defensively. You saw him knock down the 3 ball, saw him make a couple plays for others. I think a sign that he didn't, or that he is going to be a two-way guy, he didn't get a ton of opportunity. Like, he didn't get a ton of playing time, which I think the Lakers, again, it's just my opinion, let me know yours down in the comments, but I think it's because the Lakers know, he's going to be one of the guys. And you would, because you look at it like this, right? Like, if you're the guy that I want to be on the two-way, and I already kind of know and have a vision of what you're going to be, right? Adu Thero is the guy that we drafted because of all the reasons why Arthur Kaluma is probably going to be a two-way guy, right? I don't really need to see too much from you. I need to see from other guys that are going to convince me that you're not the guy, right? Like if I already have my mind set on you're the guy, right? I'm going to do the try, almost like these tryouts, and get other guys involved and give them a little bit more opportunity to kind of see, okay, did any of these guys stand out enough to where I think, Kaluma should not be one of those two-way spots. And I don't think anybody else stood out enough other than Darius Bazley and Cole Schwider, but again, can't sign them in two ways, right? So you'd have to bring them on the main roster. So I don't see that happening, and then I'll touch on Bazley here in a moment, but Arthur Kaluma, right? He's a guy that I think they, just like Eric Dixon, they are like, he's their two-way guy. And I think Kaluma is the other two-way guy. They just wanted to wait and see, okay, let's get a look at him, in brief spots. Because to me, it's like, he's the exact player that you want, need, and even Rob is like clamoring over in order to slot in alongside Luka Doncic, right? Wouldn't you want to see him as much as possible in order to kind of gauge if he's that guy? Unless he already is that guy to you, and you want to see other guys to see if there's anyone else that is worth, maybe putting over a Christian Koloko, or, what if Dixon isn't going to be healthy this year, right? So then you can bring somebody else in, tell Dixon, like, hey, get healthy, and then we'll bring you on a two-way or a main roster spot next year, right? Type thing. So that's kind of how I look at that. Again, I think Kaluma, Dixon, and Koloko are going to be our three two-way guys. Now, Darius Bazley, because I'm sure that there's going to be people that are like, oh, what about Darius Bazley? Darius Bazley can't be brought in on a two-way. It sucks. It's unfortunate. Also, the problem is we don't know what the injury is. Like, at least at the time of recording this video, we still have no idea what it is, to where we can go like, oh, okay, he'll be back in a month, right? To where it's like, okay, but even then he's probably going to make the main roster if he makes anything. I'm hopeful that he gets his body, like whatever the injury is, he gets it right, gets his body right, and then is ready to go for training camp, and then maybe kind of get another chance to make the roster on training camp. But he's a guy that, unfortunately, because of the accident that happened, or the incident that happened, which sucks. Again, you never want to see that, especially for such a guy that's working his tail off to get back into the league. And he was, if the Lakers didn't sign him, somebody probably would have. I mean, he was killing it. He looked so good out there. And it sucks to see, a young man it's just like, man, one moment. But hopefully it's just another speed bump in the road for him. Get back on his feet, get back into action, and I am telling you, somebody will end up picking him up. But again, the Lakers can't bring him in on a two-way, so it's like, what are you going to do in that regard? And then same thing with Cole Schwider, right? Like Cole Schwider, if you're going to bring in Cole Schwider, bring him on the main roster. And again, if you don't sign him on the main roster, somebody else is going to, because of his shooting and ability. So I just think that those two guys, if you're somebody that's like, oh, you got to bring in Cole Schwider, no, don't do Koloko, or don't do, whoever, right? Like, bring in Cole Schwider, bring in, even with the injury, bring in Bazley. Can't. They'd have to be on the main roster, which I don't know if either of those guys are going to be on the main roster. Remove the injury from Bazley, I still don't know if he would have actually made the main roster, just because the Lakers have 15 roster spots, and they need kind of more proven guys, right? Like, they need that proven point of attack. Now, if the Lakers were to trade for Andrew Wiggins, just using him as an example because everyone is familiar with him, right? Trade for Andrew Wiggins, clear off, say, 2 roster spots. You waive Shake Milton, you waive Jordan Goodwin. Now you got 4 open roster spots. It's like, hey, let's bring in Cole Schwider. Let's bring in, Darius Bazley, right? So then we still have 2 roster spots. Let's bring in, a Josh Okogie and an Al Horford, right? Boom. Now it fills out your roster, right? If it's something in that regard, then yes. Then sure, bring them in or bring one in, whatever. But unless the Lakers actually pull something like that off, where they're doing like a 3-for-1 swap and then waiving Goodwin and waiving, which I wouldn't mind, honestly, if Darius Bazley if he can get healthy and get ready for training camp, and he shows enough in training camp, I wouldn't hate waiving Jordan Goodwin, especially if the Lakers get Joshua Okogie, right? And that's supposedly one of their targets, because Joshua Okogie is just like a bigger Jordan Goodwin. I mean, they're near identical. Like, their comps are like identical, right? So And Okogie's he's a better versatile defender because he's got that like 7-foot wingspan. And so he can defend 1 through 3. So if they get Okogie, I don't want to get rid of Jordan Goodwin, but Bazley's just bigger, right? He's 6'9", can slot in 3 through 5 for us, right? Like the Lakers need that size and that defense and that versatility more. So I wouldn't hate if, say, they waive Shake, bring in Okogie, waive Jordan Goodwin, bring in, a Swider or, a Darius Bazley. But again, I default to, and I'm pretty confident. I know that there's a couple other guys you could maybe made some arguments for, but I don't think anyone showed enough in Summer League where you were like, that's clearly a guy that needs to be on the roster. Outside of like, the guys that are already either on the roster or, would have to be on the main roster, right? Like the only guys that could be two-way guys, I don't think any of them showed what you wanted to see enough to go like those guys are on. I think you bring in, Dixon because that was their guy. Koloko stays on a two-way, and then you bring in Arthur Kaluma, and there we go. So Arthur Kaluma, Eric Dixon, Christian Koloko are my 3 two-way guys. Let me know yours down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. If you enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.